In this video we are going to take a closer look at the Arvika 5-star made by Hults or Hults as I like to refer to them, being a Swede myself. But for the rest of the world it is Hults. So this is quite a bit different of an axe to be shown on my channel. This is my first official, I would say, competition or racing axe. Never really owned one like that before, and I want to start off by showing the axe the way it looks right now here, because this is how you get the axe. There is no leather sheath or anything. It's delivered like this, and there are some stickers and stuff here which I will remove after I've recorded this very segment. So there is one sticker up here that says Arvika 5-star axe, sharpen before use. So I've already tested the sharpness of this one, and I mean there is an edge on it, of course, and it's actually, I wouldn't say that it is paper slicing sharp, but parts of the edge here will actually get through a piece of ordinary printing paper. I haven't tried any other type of paper, but I will head over to a friend of mine later tonight here and have him put on a crazy sharp edge that will definitely slice well. And after that I'm gonna remove this sticker because I want this polished axe head to look as clean as possible. I'm probably gonna go with some flits or some auto sole on it and clean it up a little bit so it gets a really nice or even nicer shine to it. But let's go over the specs here real fast. I mean, while we're doing this first segment and while we're showcasing the axe the way it looks right now, because I'm gonna put on some CCM cloth tape here with some additional paracord wrapping over it. I'm also gonna put on some CCM cloth tape on this part of the handle as well, so the next time we see this axe it is going to have another edge on it, and it's going to be fully dressed as well. That is why I really wanted to make this first look video, so you guys can see what you will actually be getting if you decide to pick up this axe. I can't say anything about the performance of this axe yet, because I haven't put it to any type of use other than just trying the factory edge here to see what it's like out of the box. Anyways, this axe here, it measures 80 centimeter in total length. It's got a hickory handle. I would say the grain orientation, run out and everything like that it does look pretty good. No real run out. I'm not sure how well it will be seen, but it will be even harder to see it once I have the cloth tape on, because with cloth tape it can be kind of deceiving to see run out and actual grain orientation as well. Let's see, for those interested in the bottom part here of the handle, this is what the orientation looks like, and it goes in that direction. So let's take a look at the head here. Does it follow the same orientation? We can see the head here. Snug fit and finish, definitely. Minor gap here in the front, definitely not anything to even comment about. Actually, it is as tight as you would want it, and there is quite a bit of length here, as you can see. So it is, I would say it is a very sturdy or a very stout fit here. Looking underneath here, it's going to be a little bit difficult to see perhaps, but let's see. We can see that it is a snug and tight finish as well. I doubt we will see this head come loose during any type of use. So 80 centimeter hickory handle with pretty good grain orientation in general. Pretty nice ergos, not too thin, not too thick. I like them a bit thinner rather than thicker. Too thick means that I would have to thin it down using sandpaper or even power tools if necessary. But this one feels like it's gonna be just fine. So the overall weight of this axe is 2,750 grams, so 2.75 kilograms. That would translate to, I think, 6 pounds, if I'm not mistaken. And the head weight is 2 kilograms, which should transfer to 4.5 pounds, I guess. And like I said, 80 centimeter handle, or 800 millimeters, which should translate to around 32 inches in total length. So it's got some length and it's got some heft to it. Looking here at the axe's head itself here, we can see that, you know, given that it is a racing axe or a competition axe, one would expect this kind of profile, a more, you know, thin profile, no other type of contouring or swelling, like a you know, convex or like flat kind almost. So this would probably not be the best axe to use as a dedicated splitting axe, because it would, well, probably get stuck quite easily, and you would have to fight a bit to get it out of the piece of wood that you are trying to split. Anyways, much like I said, I just wanted to give you a first look at the axe, because it's gonna look a little bit different when I start putting it to actual use. But for those that are, you know, lacking the skill or the tools to sharpen a axe head, or, you know, putting on, I don't want to say that you have to put on an edge here on this axe, because there is an edge already from the factory, and I guess that it's actually, perhaps at least, sharper than some of the other axes you can buy in different stores. So, but given that this is a racing axe, I guess that the maker, that Hults Bruk or Hultafors, wants the user to, you know, make the axe as sharp as the user wanted, you know, to the user's liking or preferences for, you know, competitive use. I'm not gonna go, you know, super extreme sharp, or, you know, really, you know, thin it down even further, but I will put on a shaving sharp edge at the very least. I mean, since I'm not gonna use this for competitive purposes, it is more important for me that the edge actually holds up to the use I will put it through. I mean, given, like, if you look at the steel sports world championship, when they use, you know, axes, chainsaws, and other types of sharp tools, then you have very specific tasks or specific activities you put the axe through. But if you're just gonna go for some random, you know, splitting and chopping and felling, etc., then you might want to have a slightly tougher edge, so you don't damage it or chip it, thinning it out too much. So much like I stated, it's going to be up to the user to decide what kind of edge profile of sorts and sharpness you want for the axe. But you can go with it just the way it is out of the box. But I mean, I guess that most people that pick this axe up do intend to use it for you know, competitive activities, or you know, as a pure racing axe. If not, I mean, there are a lot of other great dedicated forest axe or splitting axes out there, made by Hultafors and Hults Bruk, of course, but also a lot of other companies, like, well, for example, Gränsfors Bruks as well, if we're talking Swedish makers. So that is what the Arvika is all about, I would say, and I look forward to put on my own edge and try it out a bit. It's going to be quite interesting. I really wish that it would have come with a leather sheath. I did find a leather sheath that actually fits the axe. From one of my other axes, I got a duplicate leather sheet for some reason, so I'm not without it. Otherwise, I would have made a a custom leather sheath for this axe. But overall, it will be a fun axe to put to some use, although not competitive chopping. So as you can see, I have now removed the stickers and I also cleaned the axe up a little bit. I could, polish it even further or clean it even more. I'm not sure what we're gonna call this polish here of sorts, but it is probably a nice working polish. Absolutely no mirror polish or anything like that, but a nice polish nonetheless. So I thought that we should try, the factory edge before I put the new edge on. So let's proceed by doing a paper cutting test here. Here we have a piece of regular, printing paper. So let's see what we can do. So right now the edge is very, uneven, I would say. It can slice with part of the edge, whereas other parts are a lot less sharp. I mean, how sharp you want an axe to be is of course going to be personal preferences, use of the axe, etc. But I do tend to like my axes to be at least, paper slicing sharp. I mean, at the very least. And this right now is just not, really sufficient. But I mean, there is sort of an edge on it from the get-go, as you can see. I know axes being sold that are a lot more dull than this, with no stickers saying that it should be sharpened before use. Yeah, so this is where we are with the factory edge. And once I'm done with this, or me and my friend, once we are done with it, it's gonna be a lot sharper than what it is right now. So, but I thought it was interesting to, record this segment because, like I said, maybe there are people that will buy this axe and that won't sharpen it because they cannot sharpen it themselves, or they don't know anyone else that can do the sharpening job either. But if you are one of those persons, then I would probably recommend picking up another axe with a better, with a sharp factory edge, because being, as thin as this one is, and given the design and how you are supposed to use this axe, will require a bit of constant looking after and constant maintenance. I mean, I could get this one paper slicing sharp by just using one of my knife strops, but it's gonna be a little bit of work. But if I put on a really nice sharp edge using more heavy tools, then I can more easily maintain it using like sandpaper or a strop or a stone of sorts. So I mean, I will have no problem maintaining it, but I do want to put on a nice good edge to work with further on. So this is the Arvika factory with no stickers, and soon it's gonna be a lot sharper and fully dressed. I have now modified my Arvika a bit more to my liking, and I realized I should probably get up here and put it closer to the camera. So we can see that I have dressed the axe using CCM cloth tape here for the well, I was gonna say lower part, but in fact it is more like the entire part here. This is what it looks like, close up. This gives the axe a little bit more, you know, grip to it, or a little bit more friction. Not extremely much, there's still, you know, some smoothness to it. I'm not saying that I recommend doing this, it's all personal preferences. I totally get that most people will not use any cloth tape like this. I mean, looking back in history, well, I mean, cloth tape hasn't, you know, existed very long. Axes have existed for quite some time. But I totally get the people that says that this is something that will take away from the practicality of the axe, but I'm used to working like this. That is why I'm doing this. But I'm just throwing it out there. I'm not, you know, recommending people to do this. Some people like it. Most people probably do not like it. But this is how I do it. So up here we have some cloth tape going from this part all the way up here, and then we have some paracord for shock resistance. I mean, if you go for an overstrike by accident, this will protect the axe quite a bit. Then again, I mean, I do not personally overstrike very often. It's actually quite rare to happen, but I'd rather be safe than sorry. I also think it looks kind of good, so that is why I usually dress my axes up in this very way. I mean, it does take away a lot in, you know, terms of aesthetics, because I think that, you know, with nice grain orientation, I mean, you cannot almost see the grain orientation now, and that takes away, I think, from the looks of the axe. But it is what it is. You can also see now that I'm using a leather sheath for this one, and like I stated earlier in the video, this axe is delivered without a sheath, but I had an extra one from one of my large Phoenix axes that actually fits this one quite nicely. However, the sheath has been well, damaged here. And that is why I had this extra sheath, because I got sent a new one by Phoenix, and then I decided to, well, maybe I should, you know, fix this sheath and hold on to it for, I don't know, for future needs perhaps. And well, there we have the future need. So that was a good thing that I actually saved it. But now, the most important part here, in terms of modification, is of course the actual blade or edge here. I put on a new edge, or well, not me personally, I actually went to a friend of mine called Leif, who has been in the sharpening industry for 20, 30, perhaps even more years, and he helped me, you know, put on a nice edge to my specifications. So it does have, you know, a really nice sharpness to it, and we're gonna test that right now. I think I'm gonna move the camera a bit closer here to the what's it called, the tree stump or wood stump there, to do some more close-up sharpness tests, cutting some paper, etc. If you remember from watching earlier in this video, this edge could barely cut paper, printing paper, and now we're gonna try a few different types of paper, and I think I'm also gonna go for some leg hair shaving as well. So that is my modified Hults Bruk Arvika 5-star axe. Let's put it to its first, or well, second test, since we did some paper slicing, but first real test with the now finished modified version. Okay, so here we have a couple of different types of paper. We got some magazine paper, newspaper paper, and printing paper. And we're gonna try all these types of paper, starting with the printing paper. So we're gonna start with some regular printing paper, the very same type of paper that we tried, you know, cutting with the factory edge. Hopefully this will be a much smoother and cleaner experience with the new edge we put on here. The paper is a bit, you know, damp and wet because, well, it is kind of cool and kind of wet. It's been raining a little bit here outside, so would have worked even smoother, I guess, if the paper was really, dry. But I think it is safe to say that the axe is paper slicing sharp, right? I think that is a fair assessment of sorts. So let's try cutting a different type of paper now. I think we should go with the magazine paper next. Just gonna pick up and clean up the garden here a bit. Nice. So let's go with magazine paper next, shall we? Okay, so here we have some magazine paper, which is also getting quite damp outside, but I don't think that's gonna stop us from doing some slicing. So, magazine paper and the new edge. Go for a new page. Let's take 1/3 page. Then we can call it a day in terms of magazine paper. And there is some weight to this axe head. So that will be enough for the magazine paper test. It will slice the magazine paper. Now comes the more interesting part, in my opinion, which is the newspaper test, which should be the most difficult test. So for the final challenge, we're going with some newspaper, really thin paper here. See what we can do. Quite nice. See if I can take another piece here. Yeah. Well, I mean, the axe is sharp and it will slice. The newspaper, but so I think we're gonna settle with that and just say that it will slice newspaper. I do think we're gonna do one final test, and that is some leg hair shaving, because I want to see if I can do it. It should shave hair, I reckon. So give me a second here. For once, I actually have a bit of leg hair to shave. Rarely do that. Must be since it's some time since I last made a video review of any sharp object. So let's see if we can cut some leg hair here now. Oh yeah. It's popping right off. Definitely. So see if we can get it in focus. Hair is popping off. No doubt about it. It is shaving sharp. Definitely shaving sharp. So I wasn't sure how well it was visible when I did the shaving, so I'm gonna, sacrifice my other leg as well here, so we can actually see the hair popping off. I hope we can see it at least. Just some, well, bonus of sorts. It is shaving sharp. And that is sharp enough for my needs. I mean, it will slice paper well, it will shave hair. Definitely, good enough for my needs. Now we just need the edge to be tough enough as well. So in this specific area, a lot of trees has been taken down. Quite a lot of trees. And I'm gonna go with Arvika to try and split one or two of these logs. So these are, freshly taken down trees. Healthy trees at that. Try to zoom in a bit here. Yeah, let's rig this up and see what we can do. Here we have one really large piece of wood. We also have this piece of wood here, which is also quite large. Maybe we should start with the slightly smaller one and then go with the bigger one. Actually, I think that's what we're gonna do. It is very heavy. Okay. So, smaller one, larger one. We're gonna start with the smaller one. See if we can adjust the camera a bit. So here we have one large piece of wood and one slightly smaller, definitely not small, really heavy, freshly taken down piece of wood here. And we're gonna start with the small one, and depending on, well, the performance of the axe, we might also give it a go on this larger piece as well. And this is going to be the first actual use of my now modified Arvika 5-star axe. And like I said, we're going to start with the slightly smaller piece that is still quite a large piece at that. So let's go for the first bite. And this is going to be slightly tough, semi-hard wood. Yeah. So much for the polished finish. Gonna need to clean that up, definitely. I'm totally missed this part here. Probably not the best part to go at. Like they say, work smart, not hard. I mean, it bites fairly deep actually. It throws some decent sized chips as well. But since this is so fresh, it's also a bit, well, I can't find the English word right now, but you know, going for this pit here, probably not, you know, the absolute smartest approach, but I didn't see it when I started. Man, I should have gone for another part of this piece. Kind of annoying in some sense. But I refuse to, you know, back out and try a new piece. Let's try to just piece by piece remove this. I mean, decent sized chunks. But definitely a bad spot, no doubt. So that was a little bit more work than what it would have needed to be. And that is why placement of the cut or the chopping is actually a bit important. But I didn't feel like, you know, starting over with another piece or an easier piece, because I mean it's still, you know, a test of how the axe performs. Fresh and strong tree. Let's take a look at the axe itself now and the edge. So the axe was quite sharp when we started. It was, well, it was shaving sharp. That we tried. And right now let's take a look at the edge here. There is no chips and no rolling. The edge is 100% intact, and we did hit straight onto some really hard knots, and it held up. So that's a good thing. Was it a effortless or a clean effort? Well, not really. But how much do we, you know, count for the axe, or for me picking a semi-bad spot to split this log in half? I could have done a much better job picking a spot without, well, let's see if I can actually find the piece here, without stuff like this going straight through it, making it a not so nice experience. But the axe held up. It did bit deep, so I think the axe did a good job. So let's take a look at the scene of the massacre. So we do have some large pieces of wood that flew off, scattered around here. This is where things got, well, how should we put it, messy. If not for this, it would have been more, you know, nice, fine, clean cuts, more or less all the way through, as can be seen on this, the left side here. But it's not a small piece of wood actually. It's actually quite significant. But I do not feel like doing this even larger one, although it could have been an easier piece depending on placement. But we did got it in half. But if I was competing against, for example, a silky saw, like a large size silky saw, that would have gone way faster than this axe chopping did, no doubt. So I just swapped out the piece we just did to a slightly or well, quite a bit smaller one, but without any knots, etc. Just to see, you know, the same type of tree, but see how fast we can go through this log instead. Still not tempted to do this one, but let's try the slightly smaller one, just to see how it performs on that kind of, you know, size and diameter. So a few chops right there, and we can remove quite a big piece of this fur. A few more chops, and we can remove yet another large piece from the log. And here we have no knots, no twigs or anything interfering with our chopping, making it a much nicer overall experience. Once again, we're breaking off large pieces. Surprisingly heavy. Actually, it might not look very heavy, but it actually is. Once again, nice big chunks. And there we go. So this was admittedly not a super big piece, but at the same time it's it's no twig either, you know. And the axe, let's take a look here. Completely fine edge, no chipping, no rolling. Quite nice. No damage whatsoever. So this was actually quite a nice and pleasant chopping experience that went, well, pretty much exactly the way I wanted it to. So let's try something else out. So, not too far away from the birch we just took down, there are some other trees that's fallen down here that I thought we could try to mess around with a bit as well, see if we can split them in half. So let's give this a go. A bit cramped in space, but should work regardless. So, wish I had a bit more room for my legs. I'm standing a bit cramped, making it hard to fully utilize the handle length and the weight of this axe. a pretty decent chunk. What's this crawling around inside here? Fresh. Like I said, it's not optimal the way I'm standing right now. Blocked by another log behind me here, so makes it not too ergonomical or practical. There we go. So if I was able to stand a bit further back, it would have made for a little bit of a more, ergonomical chopping in half. But even so, we made it work. The edge fully intact. Once again, not hardwood. This is European softwood. So yeah. So let's split this tree in half. In between here, I think is good. Once again, a bit cramped. But you make do with what you have. Not the largest tree ever, so. And we are through. So I am once again out at my friend's place. where I've asked permission to take down a couple of smaller trees. This one being a really small, or a semi-small birch. So this axe is, made for Australian hardwood, but I don't work a lot with hardwood here in Sweden. I work with mostly birch, fir, pine, and some other European softwood. But like I stated when I got this axe, that I'm not going to put it up to any competition chopping or any real hardwood chopping. I'm just going to try it out in some different situations. And right now we're going to try it on this piece of birch here. So let's give it a go. Really hard, deep first bite. Not sure if we should bring the camera over. Just take my word that it bit in really hard and really deep. So it's been raining, so it is a little bit damp and wet, and might make the axe slide a bit, so have to be a bit more careful when using it. Got some really decent chunks out here right away. Like I said, this is really soft wood, so not the biggest challenge, to put it like that. Then again, I'm not complaining. I prefer our European softwood. See if that, huh? Okay. Yeah, so now it is pretty much down. Not, not a large tree by any means, but I think the axe did a good job. It did bite nicely. Pretty good, clean cuts. Well, this was sort of interesting, but we did get the tree down without much of an effort. Yeah. And the edge is, of course, fully intact. Would have been very strange if it wasn't, since the wood is as soft as it is. Let's take a slightly closer look here at the cuts we did. Overall some really good clean cuts. So here we have, well, first off, we have the Arvika, but we also have a, since long, dead fir that we can do some branching with. Not sure how well it will be visible, but, well, there is a lot of branches to remove. See if I can adjust the camera so you can see it all. So lots of branches, and hopefully we can, well, remove most of it using this axe. not cleaned up or anything. We are just going straight away. So let's see how we should be standing. The camera is a little bit in the way. Is this even visible? Actually, I'm gonna stand right away in the camera. Smooth. Let's see. Really nice, clean cut. Actually, surprisingly nice. Or just the camera a bit. Perhaps even zoom in a little. Yep. Just a little bit. So, let's see how much we managed to remove. Quite a bit. Some more or less effortless branching of a fir. Really smooth. Let's do some additional branching. We got quite a bit of large branches here. If it's visible in the camera, perhaps, I don't know. So this is, I think that if we want to continue branching here, we might have to actually remove this. Lucky me that I have an axe. We're going to remove this branch first. There we go. You know, some really nice clean cuts. Yeah. So let's split this so we can move it out of the way. So let's continue with the branching. perhaps this is good enough. Yeah, I think this is good enough. Guess we can do a bit of splitting here. So I was saving some of these logs here to make a segment for some future splitting molds and splitting axe videos. But I do have quite a few of these, so I think I'm gonna go with one now just to try with the Arvika to see how well it performs on something that I would usually only go with a splitting axe on. And we're off to a pretty good start actually. See, it actually did make quite a nice crack through the piece here, so it's actually not too bad, and it didn't get stuck too bad either, despite being quite, you know, a thin profile. Yeah, definitely breaking this one up now. Are we through? So 2 chops in, and we've got some really nice cracks going here along the line. So this is going actually a bit better than I personally thought it would go. So now we've got one decent sized piece here off. We're gonna go with them as well. And this piece here, it should be almost possible to break it off perhaps. Yeah. And we need to split this one. Yeah, so now we've got 4 decent sized pieces here. Still a bit too large for my, well, not really too large, but I do want them slightly smaller for my fireplace. I'm gonna try to minimize them a bit more. Make them slightly more manageable. Interesting, you know, how this one works as a splitting axe, because it's doing a fairly good job actually. So this went actually quite a bit better than I anticipated and or expected it would go. I was, you know, a little bit concerned about the semi-thin blade profile or head profile, and that getting, you know, stuck perhaps. But it actually did not get stuck. So I will say that the Arvika, for me, did a pretty good job of being a splitter. Yeah, didn't fully see that coming. Then again, I mean, it's got a, you know, really good length and quite a bit of, you know, weight to the head. It's just that the profile isn't really, you know, the profile is not directly, you know, screaming splitting axe. But it packs a punch, definitely. As you can probably hear, the rain is pouring down. I was originally planning on making this final thoughts and final conclusion part outdoors, pretty much directly after having done the splitting segment. But I don't feel like standing in the rain, and nor does my camera. So this will have to do for now. So before we talk about some final thoughts and conclusions, I want to do a bit of a sharpness test. I did clean the axe up a little bit before, but I did not, you know, do any touch up of the edge itself. So with this edge, we have done some chopping of freshly taken down trees. We have done some chopping of, well, not so fresh trees. We did some branching, some delimbing, perhaps you could say. We took down a small tree and we did some splitting. So I feel like, you know, we have done a bit of this and that with this edge. So let's see now how it's holding up. And I brought with me two types of paper, one being regular printing paper, the other one being some newspaper paper. We can start with the regular printing paper here, see how it performs. I will say that most of the edge seems to be doing just fine. No real, you know, hiccups or anything. It's still quite paper slicing sharp. That's for sure. Let's go with some newspaper just because I think it will be interesting to see how it's holding up to that. This might be difficult, or oh well. So it is slicing the newspaper, but perhaps not with the same ease as it did before we put it to any use at all. Still, you know, this is plenty sharp for most people's needs, I would say. Yeah, definitely sharp enough for most people, I believe. So, let's talk a little bit about the performance here. As I mentioned in the beginning of the video, I did put on my own edge on it, and it also was, you know, not a requirement to put on an edge, but it did state that it should be sharpened before use. And I can see, you know, different ways to sharpen this axe, making it, you know, very slim or like very thin in profile, or, you know, yeah, going with like the full convex, or going with a secondary bevel, etc. I mean, all in the owner's preferences for, you know, an axe, and depending on how you will use it. Once again, this is advertised as, you know, sort of a racing axe, or an axe specialized for Australian hardwood, which we do not have a lot of in Sweden. I tend to go with the more European softwoods like fir, pine, birch, and so on. No need to put this axe into an oak, really, and well, I have no oaks to cut down. And even if there were some here, I wouldn't want to do them any harm. Anyways, obviously my edge has held up quite nicely. The polish is also holding up pretty good. I'm gonna clean this axe up a bit and make that into this final thoughts and conclusion segment. But I'm 100% certain I can get all of these smudges and stuff, goo, etc., dirt go away and make it look pretty much the same way it did when I first got the axe. That will be not very difficult. I would say around 2 or 3 minutes using some autosol or flits would do the job. Anyways, this is not a big table, so I can't fit the entire axe in, but this is a large axe, as we spoke about in the beginning of this video, at 2.75 kilograms with a 2 kilogram heavy head, with a rather, well, this is going to be tricky to see, but a rather thin or slim profile, making it bite pretty deep, which it also did. But it rarely got stuck, which is actually a nice thing. I was especially concerned about that during the splitting test, that it would get way too stuck into the wood. But it does have a nice bite to it. It will bite deep into the wood, which can be a good thing, especially in terms of felling and well, branching and delimbing, but also in regular chopping. I find the handle to be quite ergonomical. I do like the curved handle. I like the swell here on the bottom part, makes for a secure grip. And this axe is also, the head is nicely aligned with the handle. I saw some comments in some other videos that they got handles that were like corkscrews or something like that, with the axe not being aligned with the actual handle. That is not the case here. And the head is also firmly attached to the handle. I've had no issues with it working loose or anything like that. It is dead stuck on. So all in all, I think this has been a really nice experience. I would have loved this axe to have come with a nice working edge, to be honest. Even though sharpening it was not a major concern for me, but for some people it may be. And I don't quite get it why they don't put on a bit of a nicer edge from the get-go. I would also really like them to include a leather sheath with this axe. I was just lucky that I could use one of my old Phoenix sheath for this axe. But I definitely think it would be a great addition to actually include a leather sheath. Other than that, well, a really nice, great value axe. It's actually not that expensive. Maybe it will be a bit more expensive if it was to include a leather sheath and a more working edge as well. But for the price, I think this is a really nice axe. I think it's priced different from store to store. I bought mine from Lamia because I like that store and that's where I get most of my axes, so I feel a certain bit of loyalty to them. But yeah, a really nice axe that held up well and did everything I wanted it to do. Now I'm gonna go and clean this smudge, this goo and dirt off, and let's see how well I manages to do that. So I'm gonna include that in this segment before I say goodbye. Okay, let's see here. So I'm not sure how long I was away, perhaps, well, 3-4 minutes, but I did a quick cleanup with some autosol and some rubbing alcohol, and I think that did the trick. I could have done it better, and yeah, it may look a little bit strange here, but it is easy to fix. When I got this axe, and I failed to mention it, but I did do some additional polishing to the, well, I'm gonna call this the shove side. So this one has a bit more nice, shine to it than this side. which might also be visible now that I did some fast cleaning. Didn't take very long to polish this one up before, but anyways, we got all of those smudges and dirt and residue, etc. Away, and now we have a really nice looking axe here, and really sharp as well, and also a proven axe that I know that I can trust. Then again, I mean, axes that are this heavy and this large, I mean, I have axes that are way heavier than this and also with longer handles, etc. And that is not something that you bring out with you in the woods, hiking, etc. I mean, carrying this axe around is actually, well, it is not, you know, super practical, and it gets heavy after, you know, after a while. So I would definitely recommend this to be more like something that you carry in, well, perhaps in your truck, or if you are, you know, if you are headed out in the woods and you know you will be there for quite some time doing some serious axe work, then I mean, by all means, this could be an axe to bring with you. But it's not an easy carry, especially if you have no sheath for it. As far as, you know, a competition axe or chopper, I don't really know how this would perform, since I have no experience with, you know, competitive axe work. But for me, in my, you know, daily work, or not daily, but for my, you know, general needs, this axe works well. But I'm not gonna bring it with me, you know, very often. It is a nice axe. It really is. I wish I could fit it, you know, into the camera, but, you know, the rain is relentless, and it is that time of the year that we will have a lot of rain and soon a lot of snow, and that is just, you know, how it is. But the Arvika 5-star axe, you know, a really, really good axe at a really, really, you know, affordable price. So I guess that I will have to say that I recommend it, but there are some things that could be, well, changed or improved, like a leather sheath and a slightly better edge from the get-go. But aside from that, a really nice axe that I enjoyed messing around with and working with. So if you've been on the fence, then I hope this video have, you know, been able to guide you in the right direction. Be it that you will get one, or be it that you're, you know, dropping it completely. There are also several other videos here on YouTube showing this specific model, and also people that swing axes a lot better than I do. So those videos might be worth, you know, checking out. But do keep in mind that this edge is, you know, something that I made to my specifications, and in the other videos, well, those edges will have been made for other, you know, specifications, etc. And that is what makes reviewing an axe like this kind of tricky, because we're not all going with the factory edge, we're all putting our own edge on the axe, which will have a direct impact and effect on the performance. So with that being said, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope I will be able to post more videos in the future. I do have quite a lot of new knives and also a couple of new axes as well, but my time is getting more and more limited, which is why the videos aren't released as often as they used to be. Anyways, thank you for watching this video.